This is a friendly video on proofreading. So, proofreading, the last stage of the writing process. Hopefully you waited to do it until after you had all of your content and after you put everything in order and after it starts to sound pretty good. If you didn't wait, then you've probably wasted a lot of time fiddling, and you're probably going to have to delete things, but never mind. This was supposed to be short and friendly. Moving right along. Best way to proofread, a number of times and in a number of ways. Even experienced writers make errors, so it's important for them to take the time needed to fix their work. Writers need to proofread because no one really sees their work while they are writing it. We always put mistakes in while we're putting down ideas. That's the nature of writing. In fact, having written it makes you uniquely challenged to find your own errors, because it sounds all right in your head, so it's really hard to see what you actually put on the screen. Think about how much easier it is to spot errors in a classmate's work than to spot them in your own. Print it out. Each time you proofread your work, print out a fresh copy. Errors on screen are not as easily identified as errors on paper. Making corrections on screen actually usually adds more errors. Takes away some, but it puts in others that you wouldn't have. Silent proofreading is probably the way that you're used to doing it. For your first practice at proofreading, try reading the whole draft silently in one shot and see how many errors you catch. Do this with a pen in your hand. Red is good, but anything except black will do. If you use black, your ink is black, you won't see it. Mark errors and fixes on the paper with your pen. If you notice organizational errors, you can circle some text and draw an arrow to where you want it to be moved. You can cut text that you decide, oh, I didn't really need to say that. And as you go, you may notice that there's something you didn't explain, and you can add that with the pen too. With your paper in front of you, go back to your screen, type in your fixes, and save the document under the file name Draft 2, or whatever you've been calling it, but use the number 2. Second process, reading it out loud. Print the second draft and read it aloud from beginning to end. Stop and make corrections with your pen as you go. Go back to your screen and make the changes to the document. Save this one as Draft 3. Third, sentence by sentence, backwards. Print Draft 3. Staple the pages together in order. Flip to the last page of your draft and use some paper to cover everything on that last page except for the final sentence. Read the last sentence and correct any errors you see in it. For example, is it a sentence or a fragment? Is it a run-on sentence? Are the words spelled correctly? Did you put the right words there? Make those fixes. And then slide the piece of paper up and check the second to last sentence and repeat. That is to say, slide the piece of paper up so that you can see the second to last sentence and nothing ahead of it. And then repeat until you have corrected the first sentence in the draft. So you're moving from the bottom of the last page up, and then the bottom of the second to last page up until you get to the first one. Why are we doing this? Because you can see things in your draft if you look at it backwards that you would never find reading forwards. Go to your computer and make these corrections. Save this as Draft 4. And review. Print out Drafts 1, 2, 3, and 4 if you haven't already. Compare them. Where did you make the most corrections? Where did you learn the most about your writing? Show your drafts to a friend if you can. Read them together and discuss them. Which draft ended up being clearer and more interesting and more lively? Use what you've learned through this practice for your future writing projects. And that is all we have to say about proofreading.